Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for that warm welcome and introduction, Abba. My name is Shrinivas Setty, and I'm a recent graduate of the University of Connecticut, and I'm also a former club champion of the Young Voices Club, as well as a founding member. So, Young Voices and the activities and what you learn here are extremely essential and critical for the current time and world that we live in because one of the main contemporary issues we have now is an unwillingness to speak on issues and an unwillingness to be active when it comes to issues. Sure, we have a lot of people who may be able to get good jobs, may be able to make a lot of money, but one thing that it's really lacking from our society today is a lot of young individuals who are very brave and are willing to speak up about issues, which is why programs such as Young Voices are imperative in today's day, age, and climate, because young leaders such as yourselves are all going to be extremely important activists in days to come and are going to make a positive impact on this world. So from my perspective, all of you are doing an amazing job with your speeches and your leadership skills and are going to do amazing things. So to talk a little bit about my experiences, I've been involved with public speaking and leadership since I was in middle school, starting with Young Voices, then doing debate club, and then finally going into the position of being a club champion. And I've taken these things and tried to apply them to other aspects of my life in order to bolster the educational opportunities for students such as yourselves through programs such as CUBE, which is one of the largest mentorship programs in Connecticut, as well as continuing to tutor. And some of the things that I have noticed by doing these things are that children these days and students these days, such as yourselves, are in a position to really lead a revolution throughout this country and throughout the world to really change the establishment and really start making tangible, beneficial impacts for people around the world, for the very people that you are trying to help with your speeches, people who are impacted by poverty, people who are impacted by drug addiction, people who are impacted by war, people who are impacted by climate change. So the fact that you are shedding light on these issues is extremely important, and I'm very happy to see that people are still keeping the dream alive today. So that's a little bit about my experience. And now to end off my speech, I just want to talk a little bit about some advice that I've learned throughout my 21 years on the planet Earth that I would like to share with all of you in order to make yourselves more successful towards the future. And I have 4 pieces of advice for all of you. And if there are any other parents in this chat as well, this advice can be applied to you as well. So first of all, my first piece of advice for you is to trust the people around you and keep a close circle of trustworthy people who continue to motivate you. I know that as students, it may not always seem that your parents have your best interests. You may want to go do something else, but your parents may want you to stay inside, may want you to study, may want you to go to prayer, things like that. But one thing that I've understood after college in my age right now is that your parents, although their methods may seem unconventional to you at times, they really have your best interests at heart at all times. So make sure you're always listening to them and keeping them close, as well as other friends who continue to motivate you to pursue your dreams and be your best. My second piece of advice for all of you is to always pursue growth and knowledge. Knowledge is the key that is going to bring us out of the current era that we are in, this era of ignorance, this era of sickness. Knowledge is going to be the key that brings us out of this. So any opportunity that presents itself for you to broaden your skill set and become a more knowledgeable individual is an opportunity that you should take, because knowledge can be used in any context regardless of what type of knowledge it is. The third piece of advice I have for all of you is to take chances and to speak up. Throughout your life, you'll be faced with many different opportunities which may seem scary at first or which may seem out of your league. But what I can tell you, especially after seeing all the speeches that you've given today, is that all of you should be willing to take chances and take opportunities that are out of your comfort zone, because that is how you will grow as a person and that's how you'll make an excellent impact on the world. And the last the piece of advice that I have for all of you, as well as any other parents that are in this, is to not be afraid of your mistakes and to embrace them. And I think this is a particularly important part of learning and important part of living, because especially being in the Asian American community, mistakes and issues regarding mistakes and failures can be really taboo, because oftentimes we're taught that failure is really bad, we're taught that mistakes are really bad, and that shows that we're a bad person or maybe we're not a knowledgeable person. And what I've learned throughout my 21 years here is that that is not true whatsoever. Mistakes are what define us in the present time, but what defines us in the long term is what we do about these failures and what we do about these mistakes. how can we take our failures and build ourselves up from them? So if you currently are dealing with any sort of failure, loss, or mistakes, it may seem that you're in a really deep hole right now and that things are struggling for you. But what defines you is not what you've done in the past. What defines you is what you do in the present. So these are my 4 pieces of advice for all of you. I hope that my speech here has given you some sort of insight or some sort of ability to take what you've done and really transfer it into something a lot larger, which is what I know all of you have the capability to do. So thank you very, very much for having me on this forum. Thank you so much, Arunji, for having me on this forum and the opportunity to speak to all of you. Once again, excellent speeches to every one of you, especially seniors. I really wish you the best of luck going into the future, going into college. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on this forum, and I look forward to hearing the rest of you.